this week, we saw a big sell-off in biotech stocks following these reports that the FDA, which you used to run at the first part of the Trump administration, is now going to require one study to clinch approval of vaccines. You were one of the former commissioners who put out this really extraordinary editorial in the New England Journal of Medicine, arguing that the FDA and top vaccine regulator, Dr. Vinay Prasad, are changing policies in a way that's going to slow down new and better vaccines. What specifically is the problem you see? Because this isn't just Hep B. This is the vaccines of the future, you're saying, just won't be created.
Right. So Vinay Prasad, who is the head of the Biologics Center, also oversees the vaccine division. He also has been appointed the head of biostatistics, the chief medical officer of the agency, and the chief scientific officer. So he occupies a lot of positions. Put out a memo saying that they're going to do away with or move away from what they call immunobridging studies. These are studies that allow you, for well-validated vaccines like the flu vaccine, to be able to demonstrate each year that the vaccine, the new vaccine that's formulated against the circulating strain, can elicit antibodies that are effective against that particular strain, and that could be the basis of approval, rather than requiring new outcome studies every year to prove that the vaccine actually reduces the incidence of influenza. For established vaccines where we know that antibody production is a good correlate for immunity, this has been a long-standing practice. We do it for flu vaccine, we do it in COVID certainly, we do it for things like pneumococcal vaccine, the vaccine for pneumococcal disease, where we look at serotypes, circulating bacterial serotypes. This allows us to update vaccines as these viral and bacterial strains change and as the composition of the strains change in time to provide protection for the fall respiratory season. If they move away from this, which is what he said they plan to do, we're just not going to be able to update vaccines each season as we've done historically to accommodate whatever the circulating strain is.
Islam is peaceful? No, it's not peaceful. Are you going to give a Nobel Prize for somebody who waged 83 wars? No, you will not. He had many wives, 11 of them. One of them, she was 9 years old. He was 53. I am 50. I cannot marry a girl that has 9 years old. You cannot. That's abuse. And Muhammad did that. He raided a Jewish tribe. He killed the whole family of a newly bride called Safiya. He took her as a wife the same time he was returning to Medina. Would you put that as a role model for me today in the 21st century?
Is the most famous symbol of freedom on earth actually holding something else entirely? Everyone calls it the Torch of Liberty. But what if that flame is the torch of illumination? The Promethean fire, the same flame tied to Freemasonry, enlightenment through rebellion, knowledge stolen from the gods. If you visit the Statue of Liberty, inside there is a bronze plaque stating it was gifted to the United States by the French Grand Orient Temple Masons. Not the French people, not a random donation, a Masonic order. Now follow the symbol. That same torch is carried during the Olympic Games, a global ritual watched by billions. It also appears on old American currency. On the back of the Liberty dime, you find the fasces, a bundle of sticks bound together with an axe head. Power through unity, authority through force. That same symbol appears on both sides of the speaker's podium in Congress. Look again at modern dimes. The torch is still there. On the seal of the United States Senate, on money, on monuments, on institutions. Is the Statue of Liberty lighting the way to freedom, or illuminating who has really been in control all along? They didn't conquer Tartaria, they erased it. What if the world you were taught never existed exactly as you were told? What if entire civilizations were not defeated by war, but quietly removed from memory? Maps changed, dates rewritten, buildings rebranded, and the most advanced empire of its time dissolved without a single official collapse. This is the story of Tartaria. Not as a myth, not as a meme, but as a pattern hiding in plain sight. For centuries, old maps labeled vast regions of Asia, Europe, and North America as Tartaria. Not a small tribe, not a footnote, a massive, unified territory spanning thousands of miles. Then suddenly, in the 1800s, the name vanished. No global war recorded, no final battle, just silence. History tells us Tartaria was nothing more than a loose term for nomadic groups. But that explanation collapses the moment you look at the architecture. Across Europe, Russia, Asia, and the Americas stand identical structures. Massive stone buildings with impossible precision, perfect symmetry, gigantic arched windows, star forts visible only from the sky, domes crowned with spires that resemble antennas more than decoration. These buildings were not designed like medieval castles or primitive huts. They follow strict geometric principles. Sacred ratios, harmonic symmetry, every detail appears intentional, functional, and engineered. Now here is where things get uncomfortable. Many of these buildings are officially dated to the 1700s or early 1800s. Yet photographs from the late 1800s show them already abandoned, partially buried, or labeled as old world ruins, despite allegedly being brand new. Ask yourself this: why would newly constructed buildings already be called ancient? The answer most textbooks avoid is this: they were not newly built, they were inherited. Tartarian architecture appears to be designed around energy, not aesthetics. High ceilings, tall windows, thick stone walls, copper domes, iron spires, buildings designed to interact with the environment. Before centralized power grids, many structures seem to have operated using atmospheric electricity, ether, resonance, natural energy collected through spires and distributed through metal frameworks embedded in stone. Look closely at old photographs. You will notice buildings wired internally long before modern electrical infrastructure existed. No visible power plants, no coal lines, no generators, yet light existed. Street lamps from the 1800s appear with no visible fuel source. Some lamps are permanently sealed. No oil access, no maintenance ports, just glass and metal connected to the ground. Free energy challenges control, and control is the foundation of modern systems. Now consider the star forts. These massive geometric fortifications exist worldwide. Europe, Africa, Asia, North America. Perfectly symmetrical. Designed with angles that make no military sense for the weapons of the time. Cannons did not require this level of precision, but energy flow does. Star shapes maximize surface area and resonance. They interact with magnetic fields. They are not random. Why would primitive societies across continents build the same advanced designs without shared technology? They wouldn't, unless they were part of the same civilization. Then there is the mud flood. Across the world, entire first floors of buildings are buried beneath layers of sediment, windows half underground, doorways leading into dirt, streets built on top of older streets. Official explanations vary. Renovations, rising road levels, urban development. But the pattern is global and simultaneous. Something happened in the 1800s. A massive event or series of events that buried cities quickly. Not slow decay, sudden coverage. Old photographs show cities being cleared rather than built. Workers digging out buildings that supposedly did not exist before. Why would you excavate a brand new city? After this event, history resets. Tartaria disappears from maps. National borders solidify. Central banks rise. Compulsory schooling spreads. Standardized time is introduced. Independent knowledge systems vanish. The world transitions from free, localized societies into centralized, debt-based economies. And the architecture changes. Post-1900 buildings are smaller, less ornate, less durable, designed for speed, not permanence. Concrete replaces stone. Boxes replace harmony. The old buildings were meant to last thousands of years. The new ones are meant to be replaced. Now here is the most important part. Many of these Tartarian structures are still standing today. Rebranded as courthouses, capitals, museums, cathedrals, train stations. You are told they were built by settlers with horse carts and hand tools. Look at the scale. Look at the precision. Look at the global consistency. Does that story make sense? Or does it make more sense that an advanced civilization existed, mastered energy, architecture, and harmony with nature, and then was wiped from the narrative because it threatened centralized power? If people once lived without debt, without centralized energy control, without artificial scarcity, then the modern system collapses under its own lies. You do not need to be conquered if you forget who you were. That is the real weapon. Amnesia. The Tartarian Empire was not destroyed, it was overwritten. And the evidence is still all around you, hiding in plain sight, disguised as government buildings, churches, and monuments you were taught never to question. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you start asking why, the official answers fall apart fast. You be the judge. If you're awake, you already know what to do. Hit the link in our description and sign up to our free underground newsletter.